Romania's president, Klaus Iohannis, announced his resignation on Monday, 2 months after a top court annulled the country's presidential election. Following the resignation, demonstrators doubled down on their demands. Iohannis had served 2 5-year terms, but his presidency was extended in December.
Pentru a scuti România și pe cetățenii români de această criză, de această evoluție inutilă și negativă, demisionez din funcția de președinte al României.
The demonstrations against him continued in Bucharest after the announcement.
Turul 2 înapoi și altceva să plece oții din guvern, că altceva nu vrem.
Pentru libertate, pentru adevărata democrație.
Romania plunged into turmoil after Calin Georgescu, a far-right ultra-nationalist, won the first round of the country's presidential election, only for allegations of electoral violations and Russian interference to emerge.
Romania is the latest country to join a supermarket boycott that has spread across the Balkans. The movement started in Croatia to protest rising grocery prices and a worsening cost of living crisis. In Romania, the far-right pro-Russian presidential candidate Calin Georgescu took to social media to urge his supporters to join the boycott. He accused foreign-owned supermarkets of not selling Romanian products and eliminating cashier jobs by introducing self-checkout lanes. But others also criticized the boycott. Romania's Minister for Agriculture warned the boycott could actually harm Romanian producers.
Dacă vorbim de producători locali și trebuie să integrăm în magazinele de retail, aici trebuie să discutăm de cantități. De aceea noi, Ministerul Agriculturii, întotdeauna am încurajat cooperarea pentru a putea merge în fața retailului și a negocia ca aceste produse românești realizate prin cooperative să fie pe magazinele de retail.
While supermarket prices are still a concern for many Romanians, some people have also started a counter-boycott, calling on people to support Romanian brands at their local supermarkets on Monday. A Hamas spokesperson said the next release of Israeli hostages will be delayed, accusing Israel of repeatedly violating the ceasefire agreement. The next exchange, scheduled for Saturday, called for 3 more Israeli hostages to be freed in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Hamas says the Israeli military has targeted Palestinians with shelling and gunfire and failed to facilitate the entry of humanitarian aid as agreed. Israel's defense minister Israel Katz responded by saying the delay itself was a violation of the ceasefire agreement and instructed the Israeli military to be on high alert. Another Israeli official said Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pushed forward a meeting with a security cabinet to Tuesday morning. The Hostages and Missing Family Forum, which represents many of the hostage families, called on mediating countries to restore the existing deal. Kosovo's Prime Minister Albin Kurti's left-wing party won most seats in this weekend's parliamentary election. But his new term will face multiple challenges, including the revival of talks on normalizing relations with Serbia, a key issue in repairing ties with the EU and US.
Trump administration, they did not still make any statement about the dialogue, whether they want to engage or not, or to support it or not. And the EU has led the process in a way which was not at all convincing, let's say, to the parties. No Belgrade nor Pristina ever believes that EU is firm, that it will provide any stick or carrot to incentivize parties to engage constructively in dialogue.
Kurti is also under pressure to increase public salaries and pensions, improve education and health services, and fight poverty. Left without a majority in the House, Kurti's party will have to look for an ally to form the next government.
The lack of a clear majority in Pristina and the divisions among the United States and the European Union on how to deal with the tension in the Western Balkans seems to create a very difficult perspective when it comes to reestablish a dialogue between Pristina, Belgrade and the Serbian community of Kosovo.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has called Sunday a great day after the Baltic countries disconnected from the Soviet-era power grid and joined the European electricity network. The switchover, which the leaders of Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania said held geopolitical significance, came more than 3 decades after the collapse of the Soviet Union. It ends the Baltic countries' final ties to Russia.
Їхні енергосистеми відтепер повністю синхронізовані з європейською континентальною системою. Україна це вже зробила у 2022 році, і зараз Балтійські держави теж позбулися залежності. Москва більше не зможе використовувати енергію як зброю проти Балтійських держав.
All remaining transmission lines between the Baltics and Russia, Belarus and the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad were switched off one by one. The Baltic power system was then merged with the European energy network through links with Finland, Sweden and Poland. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the changeover was about more than just energy.
It is about European integration. It is about European sovereignty. It is about proving once again that when we come together, we can move mountains. Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, you are at the heart of Europe. You work tirelessly for this moment. And today, all of Europe celebrates with you.
The Baltic countries, which are all NATO members, have often had difficult ties with Russia since declaring independence from the USSR in 1990. Relations hit a new low over Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. 16 power lines that used to connect the Baltic states with Russia and Belarus were dismantled in recent years as a new grid linking them with the rest of the EU was created. The 3 Baltic countries informed Moscow and Minsk of the disconnection plan in 2024 to head off any hostile reaction.
A high-stakes AI summit in Paris opened on Monday, where major world leaders are meeting as tech titans fight for dominance in the fast-moving technology industry. Heads of state, top government officials, and CEOs from around 100 countries are participating, including U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, who arrived on Monday. Vance is expected to meet many European leaders at the summit in what is his first overseas trip since taking office. The summit also comes as AI becomes the latest flashpoint in US-China rivalry. Ahead of the summit, French President Emmanuel Macron on Sunday said investors will pump 109 billion euros into artificial intelligence projects in France in the coming years.
Et avec elle, ses grands partenaires, l'Europe va accélérer, la France va accélérer. Et donc, pour nous, la France, on annonce demain à ce sommet 109 milliards d'euros d'investissement dans l'intelligence artificielle sur les prochaines années.
The Paris summit, which gathers major players, aims at fostering AI advances in sectors like health, education, environment, and culture.
On the sidelines of the Artificial Intelligence Summit in Paris, the military community gathered to discuss how AI is impacting conflicts around the world. President Macron has been urging France and the EU to step up their AI efforts, especially within the defence field. But one of the main obstacles to increased EU cooperation is data. To be effective, algorithms require many sets of different kinds of data, some of which arms producers are reluctant to share.
Il y a probablement une difficulté, mais ce n'est pas uniquement en France ou en Europe, c'est l'accès aux données, puisqu'on est sur des données classifiées, des données très compliquées, et sur des données souveraines, évidemment, on ne peut pas les partager comme on voudrait.
A NATO commander said today's conflict, such as Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, demonstrate that alliance members don't have a choice but to keep up with the pace.
So the ability to adapt to a course of action, enemy course of action, is really important. You see that in Ukraine. So it's a question of life. If you do not adapt at speed and at scale, then you die. Pour le côté allié, c'est l'interopérabilité, de faire que les 32 alliés puissent travailler ensemble avec une confiance dans les données, dans leur utilisation, avec des règles d'engagement qui sont comprises par tous, et puis que les flux de données qui sont agrégés, qui sont produits par les différents alliés puissent se mélanger, en fait, puissent pouvoir participer à la même situation.
The summit is already creating EU military cooperation. Helsing, a German-based company specialized in defense, teamed up with Mistral AI, a French AI startup, to develop next-generation AI systems for EU defense. At least 51 people were killed after their bus plunged off a bridge on the outskirts of Guatemala's capital. Others were seriously injured. A firefighting spokesman said a multi-vehicle crash sent the bus off the bridge before dawn. Guatemala's president offered his condolences and declared a day of national mourning.
The Joachim Stradivarius, a masterpiece of sound. And we can start the bidding here. At $8 million, at $8 million, at $8 million, at $8 million, at $8,500,000 now. Sold. $10 million. Paddle 2.